All right, hi everyone. This is Daisy here, aka Professional High Priestess. I'm just here to talk about a few things that are going on. Some of you guys are new to my channel, on my coding tutorials, and the other videos that I post. I'm really here more or less to tell people what has gone on in the tech industry for the past 5 years, that was going on behind everyone's awareness, and that is now getting exposed due to the ways in which the internet is going to get shut down and rewritten in the next few days, weeks, and months. So I'm going to first show you like a few systems that you can build, and then I'm going to tell you what these individuals were doing and what this is going to be coming to now. Right. So let's go ahead and start here. So basically, what we are doing here is we're bringing down new chemical sequences to alter EMF fields, alter leptons, quarks, mesons, gluons, optical network configuration, etc., to bring down new memory organization systems that exist in the mantissa itself. Oh, you can do that if you know how to work with the planets that are actually putting out the frequencies that you are picking up to run your spectrum bands. So with this, we can also have new cobalts, new systems, new spectrum bands. And when I say cobalt, it's not like what I mean by the coding system itself, but what cobalt intended to do, which is bring down a system of organizing the way in which ASCII converts into text, and then how you can organize databases of information, with that knowing that you can do that, right? So if we have ASI, binary, hex, UTF, etc., we can bring down different configurations of that and different activations of that to bring down new coding systems, new programs, etc. So one of the coding systems that we're going to bring down is first the flower seeker, where you can take a perfume, then you can work with different indigenous frequencies, planetary frequencies, to go ahead and scan, the existing database that you call the internet and its lesser mantissa, and pull out exactly what perfumes smell like that flower, exactly what flowers, in that perfume or in other perfumes, etc. Right? It's a cool tool. Something else that you can do is memory crystals, where individuals like, oh, I can type up my memory and that can bring up memories from when I was a child. I can see people that were at those family dinners. I can see people from the orphanage, etc. Things like that can happen, but only if you use this specific frequency that takes a whole entire new coding system to run. Now, one of the things that's happening here is, where's the system coming from? It's coming from the fact that existing network configuration comes from different aquatic beings, right? And those aquatic beings are using, chemical servers of their communication, chemical servers of their telepathy, the way in which they communicate in different substance space, and then running protocols on the internet, which is run by a substance itself, right? The spectrum bands and the radio frequency, right? That then work with the leptons, quarks, gluons, and the coding, etc., that then allow you to power up a device and then put on a BIOS, right? And the BIOS works through the mantissa carrying HO and LO bits memory that then unfolds a different type of data organization that allows you to carry certain binary and hex and UTF encoding in certain configurations to get what we have now, the internet, right? So it's the aquatic beings that have built that. That is like their secret. Here I did a class on some of the systems that they have. Number sets, right? Something called prefactual numbers, like, oh, you have to organize the way you put down your algorithm. You use numbers in certain sequences with your vectors, your et cetera, but it has to be activated by a specific force, right? Anybody can try this, but it's who has the force to activate it. That's what's happening now because of what's going on in tech, where a bunch of white folks got together with a bunch of people of color who are sellouts and caused a bunch of chaos for everybody because of something that white folks knew that the sellouts didn't know, which is the fact that they are in different groups where they practice very sinister and delusional things, and they believe that black and brown people are supposed to be getting eliminated, harmed, etc., so that they can get quote unquote spiritual powers to bring down intelligences and minds and great minds to bring down broken systems like the internet, etc., etc. When we touch it, it goes much further. It's always greater, and we've had several people of color who have been mathematical geniuses, etc., and they start represent the disrespect to a false system that deserves it, right? So we have all different type of systems that we can use here, using flowers and their force of physics and just like their functions, right? Think of like sin and act, signed and unsigned numbers, activating different like variations in your objects, types, and classes, but using this type of intelligence sequence, which brings down what you're really trying to do. Like, I would love to sit in front of the computer and type in what's going to happen, and then for the next 5 days, I know exactly what's going to happen, like down to the car that I'm going to see, its license plate, how long I'll stay in traffic, etc., etc. How my body, my stomach will feel, that type of system. You can't build that over time with like machine learning this and TensorFlows that and that and that. It's a certain system in space, right? So now this is what's coming out here. So we're gonna go ahead and bring down the systems today, and we're gonna show you how we're gonna be doing all these different things. So I have Right. So you guys have registers, real registers, and pre-registers. So one of the things that's happening here is you guys are finding out like, okay, different slices of memory, things like that, different ways in which protocols work on the internet languages. It's because there's a certain aquatic being or serpentine being or botanical being giving up their functions to run the system. Because it's a few different type of like parts and pieces going on together that end up working together, right? Like you have the memory, then you have the BIOS, the hardware, then you have existing programs that can communicate with that network organization and the pre-register organization and the Matissa and how it flows. What's to say that there can't be other systems? And this is where we get chaos happening because of what has gotten started with white people playing on the computer and causing chaos and harming people's kids and starting nonsense and wars, right? So what we're going to end up doing here is we're going to learn how to use executable UTF-8 and do something brand new on the computer. But now, one of the things that you guys are learning here is like, oh, you can make spectrum bands that don't need any type of wiring. I could just configure something, type down a few frequencies from space, right? If I know the Mantisa, or if I know how to write in its electrical language, or if I know how to work in its mechanics, I can bring that down, work its spiral set, etc. But other people, they try that and they can't. So that means that we can type something up into the computer, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and then we can have brand new internet, brand new routers, etc. Right? But I have files that I've made too, forces of physics that I've accumulated and created to actually then make this something that, like for a fact, this concrete and hardcore can work on the system. So another thing that's happening is with chemistry, right? So with the chemistry, that's also done because what I've done here is I've rewritten the system for chemistry, and we're showing here how chemistry itself is ran by spiral servers that exist in space that are ran by planets, etc. So some of you guys are thinking about like fentanyl. Fentanyl's from space, right? And the way in which you cut down fentanyl to be something that you can just really use for like funeral care is by going to the spiral valence, having to move its diamagnetism in bulk, shielding, pull all the electrons towards the hydrogen, send up the charge to the hydrogen to communicate with its server, bring down certain functions, etc., which is how you really want chemistry. Then we can bring down new information, new pathways, new ways of being for the chemical, new reaction sets, new colors it can carry, new conduction forces, etc. So this is one of the things that's coming out too that's gonna set people up like, why didn't we know about this? It's because a lot of white people got involved in trying to hide this and capitalize on it, et cetera, and it's not possible. You have to be indigenous. So then they ran forth into opening tensor spaces, holes in our brain and our ears to go ahead and try and get access to this information because of how it's ran in space. And because they uploaded so many of us all at once to a specific virtual reality that was being ran by broken people in space, right? They ended up finding out that we ended up finding out a bunch of stuff about aquatic beings, et cetera, who runs these different systems, the network protocols that they made copies of, and how they've been trying to use food and spell work to basically make copy of our ways of indigenous communication that have higher systems that can overpower the internet. So let's go ahead and look into here, like how's this manifested? A bunch of people dying, right? I already showed you this. Uh, you guys have seen this particle physics increasing and decreasing these, creating destabilizations through the entire galaxy and universe is what just happened with indigenous people in space. Now, some of you guys are wondering, like, how did this happen? They took their melanin spectrum and then they took the magic that is melanin, the substance, to run backdrops of the universe and the galaxy so they can edit its functions. Okay, so that's how people come without melanin and then they come mentally. So this is how we get certain atrocities on the planet, like caste system, et cetera, because you did something in space and now you're bringing it here. Okay, but now we can stop because we see who's running this. And then dipole-dipole interactions to destabilizing electromagnetic fields, which is bringing Heisenberg uncertainty principle and destabilizing the way that the internet works and causing particle destabilization in the centrifugal forces, which is causing the capacitor to go ahead and overrun in its spiral valence in chemistry and burn out and cause explosions. So now this is what's happening with a bunch of chemical fires that's starting, etc. So now I have to show you what happened because these people were playing. So they were screaming in our ears, boom, bam, blam, with the virtual technology harassing us, etc. And then people started identifying people all throughout the planet and went, so they don't know how to turn it off and stop it. And then also because the particle physics, people just randomly got like targeted from space. And because of what these people did to build the false internet and the fact that they didn't know people were watching this planet and what they were doing on this planet all throughout space, it's like, oh, they knew that we were coming back and forth to the planet as disruptors and troublemakers and dictators and murderers, etc. So we can harass these people and then think that it was going to stop them in space or something like that. Oh, okay, I didn't know that they knew what we were doing. Yeah, so that's the big thing that just came out in space. And we know what you're doing, and then other groups coming like, "What did you do?" Right. So let's keep on going and moving. This man, boom, blam. His last name is Boom. This is just recent. Boom, blam. His last name is Boom. Died. This man, boom, blam. Particle physics died because they reversed the particle physics onto them. The children that they molested in the dream state made copies of, and that's why there's a bunch of car accidents and plane crashes. Look at of all these different people. President of Iran died plane crash. Vice President of Malawi died plane crash. Herbert Wigwe, Access Bank died plane crash. So it started with them playing with a bunch of magic and harassing me because of what I knew and what I was doing in work. And here you guys see about the technology that they're using, brainwave technology, accumulating people's passwords, things like that, phone numbers. So now another thing that's happening here is the other games that they were getting into to play with people, destabilize our work, etc. So let me just go ahead and show you this. Waddle. So you guys can go on my website, New Chemistry, and learn about like code, seed editing systems. I wrote a book on chemistry, trisomies, and the different coding system that we're going to be able to use. That's like pure force of physics. Yeah. So there's a few systems that we have here. One is this Raka Irwani. And this is what I'm going to be using to go ahead and readjust like the system that we have here for the physics and how it's running in the planet. So because people want to go do that to be able to manipulate the planet, but like you gave up everything to go ahead and do that and create false beings and things like that that were anchors into this reality, which is where you get a bunch of people that can't access the system and activate it because that's how they were made and their purpose is to cause drama here. So we have crypto, CPUs, and metals, how we can use spiral chemistry to work in a different aspect of the CPU. Like if I have a gold necklace and it's only one spiral in the valence, she can expand the spiral in the valence. We can get more and more and more out of what we already have. Systems like that we can create. More of the system that we can also create too is a crypto system where we can throw into a backdrop right above the planet specific storages of value of gold, and then we can digitize it to come onto the planet. So when I then bring down this database, it tells me that this monetary value that I have based on this existing bank account that can also exist, my chemical bank, can bring down a certain storage of value. Okay, like so it's $65,000, etc. But then you can upload your material. Like, oh, I took a picture of my necklace, put it online, and it told me it was like worth $3,000 four times because I can use this level of the spiral valence in this dimension, this spiral valence in that dimension, that spiral valence in that dimension. But they're bringing down new code so we can digitize the other aspect of the particle field physics of this particle and this molecule. We can do that. So one of the things that's happening here is people getting angry that they couldn't take the system from us, cause a bunch of drama, start nonsense. They were paying people to do magic on me, running around. There was a serial killer that ended up getting involved in this. That's how it started. I sued a man, him and his friend, and because they were playing on my phone, starting a bunch of drama, hiring women to harass me. Different white women were contacting my phone, playing with my phone, hiring ritual groups. Different women were running back and forth, causing drama. And all the while, they were paying for magic that had something called black homies in it, which is where they take people, harass them, suffer them in sex rituals, death rituals, and take their bones, turn it into powder for candle work. And people buying all this, but it's what they were doing with it in space. They were activating the hydrogen spiral in the chemistry and then tying the magic with the herbs and stuff like that from space because they had kids doing it as homework. Like, oh, why do you want me to tie this hydrogen to this? So you can better the air on planet Earth, like stuff like that. And they were scoring these kids homework from like thousands of years ago to create the internet now, and it's broken. It's done. So now what's going to end up happening here is like, yeah, because how can you use electricity to carry, this specific type of binary encoding in language that speaks to like the impulses in the electromagnetic field, but isn't there something else that can do that? Yeah, and that's what we have. So now what you're going to end up having here is how I got chased around, etc., by these people because I sued them, and it came out that they were involved in a bunch of stuff, switching people's kids at birth, starting four wars in Spanish America, Iran Contra, etc. These people and their families, and they were trying to use this as opportunity. Oh, we have something new. But it's after she sued you and after she tried holding you accountable that you wanted her system. That's a perfect way for all this to come to an end. Good. So now what's happening here is he was playing with different women that were reporting him, white women that he was beating because he's crazy. They were using his photos, putting it in spell work and magic for love spells and stuff like that, putting it for fame and things like that. He was also paying for magic. They were doing magic. They opened a tensor space over this photo. Then the number exploded into all the court dockets. and all the reports and people contacting me and nonsense that was getting started on the internet. Request for surveillance footage, 37. Look at this. Yeah, starting a war. The police officer that took my report against them, look at this woman that they look exactly alike. Something came out that their families are all under investigation for domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity for starting race riots. Because how they play going back and forth with black men and as slightly mixed women causing drama. Yeah, 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 yep. Too much evidence, too much came out, too much going on, too many people exposed their hand. Yeah, so many people. It just came out. This flyers in front of their building. This is 237 right there. They thought it was a joke. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Chaos, nonsense. People kids switch their birth, and then look at this with the delivery room. Yeah, yeah. Getting contacted by Department of Homeland Security over my work. Okay, so we see what's currently going on here. And then all these white people died in tech. Yeah, from Bram Molinar, Vim, two directors at Adobe, John Warnock, the founder of Adobe, playing with people's eyes, doing rituals, all kinds of stuff. Susan Wojcicki, yeah, her and her son died. Yeah, their families are getting clapped out because of what they did, playing with people of color with the computer, hacking us all at once, reselling our work, creating AI off our work, hacking the spectrum band system, etc., playing with different nuclear frequencies and things like that to destabilizing the planet so they can play in the computer and cause chaos. Yeah, look, he died. A Linux Foundation causing a bunch of nonsense, putting out hack upgrades and things like that on the computer, causing warfare, helicopter crashes, yeah, back and forth. A family, yeah, family of four, helicopter crash, yeah. Playing with people, paying for magic and stuff like that. It doesn't matter about their kids. But I want a new car. Yeah, paying for spell work, playing games in their career, playing with the black and brown community, stealing their business, starting nonsense. We unraveled all the child pedophiles their network because they put me in different chat groups. You guys know how white people are disgusting. They'll put you in different chat groups online, hack your computer, put naked photos of you when you're walking around your house, hack your surveillance camera inside your house, stuff like that. Bring key fobs, make copies of your door, go in and out of your apartment when you're at work, put human meat in your house, nonsense like that. They all got caught because I blasted them on the computer with my coding system. And every single day that we talked about it, the next day that they got arrested. And I was talking about this Cartoon Network because they're in Atlanta for a long time. And what happened in Atlanta is going to start a war in America because of how it blew up and too much drama got started with the celebrities and they exposed their hand the whole entire time. Right. So that got debilitated because how all the celebrities got put in, and that's why Drake got exposed in that song with Kendrick Lamar. Like, what song is this? Oh, Drake, and everyone's talking about it in their family. But what happened with them? Because why would a song so extreme and they're playing it at the Democratic National Convention? Yeah, because it happened because of this virtual reality that they uploaded me to, and what everybody saw with the computer program. Yeah, biggest streaming service shut down by the FBI. CEO of Telegram, yeah, clapped out, caught up, talking about his arrest is still stifling innovation. Innovation of what? Saying my arrest is stifling innovation. Innovation of what? Child pornography, slices and shards, playing on the computer. More ways to try to find out where I live, what I'm doing, get in my computer, play games. Oh, we can do this and that with the code. Yeah, innovation in sex rituals on kids. If I hold her hand down here, let's me and you have sex first, make her swallow this, we'll do that, then we'll get the code. That's what they were doing. And mass and a bunch of people's kids got witnessing and they destabilized everything. Right. And they think that people don't know what they're doing. I talked about this on my channel, and the next day they had a huge riot in the UK, Leeds riot. This is a very holy war that happened. People in the streets blasting people, chaos because they were playing with their kids. And I talked about it on my channel. Then they went out in the streets and they got on their head. Yeah, yeah. Too much going on, too much getting started. And this 37 document popping up all over the place. People getting murdered. The 37's in the news. Mike Lynch, him and his business associate died. First, he got hit by a car, particle physics, and then boom, he died. Boat accident because the aquatic being is setting them up. Yeah, yeah, they set each other up all the time. Well, I helped bring down part of C plus, and then a little bit later, I helped with Go. Um, I don't know. Fortran. Oh my God, that was so messy. That was my first boyfriend on the planet. They were so horrible. Oh my God, I remember Algol. Oh my God, that's how my mom got here. Yeah, these aquatic beings and the worst. And they're running it from space. But indigenous people came to see what you guys were doing on the internet. What do you mean you're taking all my creativity and you're saying that it's going to be over here for you? That's a disrespect. I'm a high priest. And that's why a lot of people stopped making music and stuff like that, stopped writing down their music because of what was going on and hella stuff that was getting started. Yeah. So we can bring down databases from space, talk to people from space, bring down more organized systems of mind and thought, but you need this coding system. So the people that own this is Oranani. The Ebos, for what happened to their land, they own this physics system, but we've been owned it. It's just how it's going to work on the planet. Swisser, that belongs to the Cambodian, Vietnamese, and a few other, and Thai and Angkor Wat Tibet Federation because of what happened to them when they were first here in Angkor Wat as golden people, as people of a specific type of powerful spicy pepper, that would just destroy you. That's their names, aka certain peppers that are not sriracha but other ones. Another system is Quaddle, that's owned by the Spanish indigenous people because of what happened with them, getting mixed up in space because of food, playing with their farms, starting civil wars, playing with everything, causing chaos. And the indigenous people that mixed in with Spanish culture and that Spanish culture mixed into them and causing chaos. They own the system too because of what happened to them, clinical trial testing, etc., warfare, looking for metals, etc. So all the indigenous people own these systems on the planet. I'm going to show you how they work. And I got put into them because of how I helped and how I supported. So upgrading midware, front end, back end, we have our own BIOS that we can put onto the computer. All you have to do is just this. See if they have this on here. Okay. MacBook. Let's see if that works. Okay. All right. So we're gonna get into this. Okay, here we go. So we can go ahead and do this, and then I have like the code there, the source code. Let me see. Let's see if I can like look into this first. So what I can basically do with this Mac Vim is now I'm going to show you the system. You would showing you how to create your own IDE. We can create our own IDE on the internet. Now, some of the things that this system can do is I told you guys about the spectrum band. We can have our own using the planets to code, etc. We have our own aquatic being. Hello to my high priestess, she's right here. I have my octopus, my serpent, etc. That some of these serpents and beings they create what you call a Viet or what you call a Pacific Islander or what you call a type of African. So we have different type of consciousness that can overpower the internet and can do what this does just by nature of now studying these systems. And so much chaos happened in space when they uploaded thousands of people to that virtual reality that has sent a signal up and they saw what the internet was and what they were doing with the financial system and creating poverty, which is really the unthinkable in space, that they gave us a system to end it all for one, a solution. So um I could take this Mac bin, look into the coding for it because I could just find like the plain text or plain code, right? Which is binary releases and releases. No, yeah, there are different things that you can like download and put into this. So I can go ahead and rewrite that system, or I can go like this, open this up, and I can start the system. So the first thing is I'm going to bring down a specific planetary frequency that's going to override the EMF fields and amplify the magnetic field, so I can play with a certain type of intelligence in there to bring down more of a certain planet that runs more off magnets than it does off electricity, right? And that's Mercury, Virgo, okay, in that system. So let me code down the opening of that portal. It's going to help me override Vim and then operate like a brand new IDE environment, like text editor type environment. Okay. Oh, one thing that I didn't show you guys was how this impacted the entertainers, the Black and Brown community, because they saw this coding system. A lot of football players, basketball players, etc., passed away. They died because of what was like going on here. Died, dead, playing with pedophile groups, child molestation, emergency 24-hour adoption of people's kids, moving them all around. MLB pitcher, coach dies in fiery crash. Keyshawn Edwards dies in fiery crash. Summer Wheaton, fiery crash, fatal. Somebody died. Chiefs Rasheed Rice, accident. Clemson wide receiver DeAndre Overton, dead. Los Alamos lab. You guys saw that, dead. The one of the top scientists there. Yeah, Vontae Davis, dead. College ball players dies from severe head trauma. University of Maryland. It's because of magic that a lot of people heard about. Like, oh, you can do that. You can set people up. You can cause trauma. You can get stuff from space. Because people started talking into the virtual reality from space, and that's how we learned about all this. And they started playing games like, oh, I can do this type of magic, that type of magic, and start this and start that. Jacoby Jones, dead. A lot of the entertainers died. Okay. Uh, Father of college football player killed in Glen Burnie crash. Yeah, a lot of football players died. A lot of people passed away. This is how you start to create your own IDE environment. So I'm actually gonna create it in this, save it as a file. Right, so it's my type of IDE environment to bring down certain coding that I can activate onto the planet that will impact UTF-8, ASCII, etc. So we open this. Now we can go like this. We have to speak a specific electrical language. There's a system that we had to create to translate that specific language down into a specific substance that will accept this lettering system of the English language, right? It doesn't matter what if you try to write it in the Hindi Sanskrit or in some type of Chinese language, it doesn't matter. It doesn't activate like that. We just agreed on one, um, and that's just it. So just write it in this. Doesn't really matter because those systems are not activated with a specific hyperdimensional substance to write a specific language down. Let me get started with this. Burglar, burglar area. Mm, Okay, good. I accept. Let's go ahead and start that. Okay. So we're gonna have that on that line. And then, right, so now we've activated this environment that's gonna be like our new type of IDE system, right? So this is how we're reorganizing the Mentisa, reorganizing the pre-registers, the registers, et cetera, to accept our memory organization system onto the internet. So now I'm gonna activate that. I just put the name of the library and then boom, it knows to bring these certain libraries down. So these are the libraries that we're gonna now bring down to start activating this code down here. Okay, so there we go with that, bringing down a specific spiral. Not yet. That brings down the languages. But before I do that, I open that portal. Before I put the languages, I want to put the master spiral. It's carrying the new substance that's going to run the new binary and digital scape on the internet. So it doesn't matter what you type in on the internet. If you're not attached to the substance, it's not going to work. It's not going to compute with the Mantisa, the spectrum bands, etc., because of how they were built in space off of nonsense and treachery, and these children broke it. Period. right? And the serpent broke it, and the aquatic being broke it, and all the sacred beings broke it, and all the indigenous sacred people, they broke it because it was destructive and it was disgusting and delusional who was running it and playing with it, right? So let's go ahead and bring down that spiral. Yeah, there's 8 of these. Okay, so we have that. No. Uh, yeah, that can go. That can definitely go. Okay, so it's just like that. Um, okay, okay. So then you can override the internet and then bring down new systems. Because and then a lot of you guys too, like why can't we have better data organization, things like that? We can have better cybersecurity, etc. Better algorithms that are ran by flowers. A lot of these like algorithms and things that we're looking for in machine learning language models, these are the ways that they protect the substance that runs your dream state. Because of the way in which those leptons, quarks, bosons, strange molecules, right, communicate with each other. It's locking them up so people can't like play with something else to try to overactivate them, play with them, etc. Some of these algorithms that these flowers run, like the one that I'm breaking down now, they override the binary scape of any type of like neural hacking that has gone on or type of spying. Like this is the way in which you know for a fact that there is no spying on this specific like anatomy that I use to maintain thoughts about this and that, etc. Right? Like what are you doing with your kids? What's happening on planet Earth in your other body, etc. So we can bring that down just like this because we're bringing down an IDE and changing up the environment and making sure that people have what they need to survive. So we brought down the opening of the portal. I'm going to bring down a specific spiral, a valence spiral that's going to open up like more capacity in the language that I'm going to write. Then I'm going to write the libraries. This is historical, guys, because that's the end of the internet as you know it. Okay, good. We're still going with this. Okay. Okay. 4. Okay. So I have more. Right. So here I'm writing down like the blueprint, the binary like encoding for a specific database on the planet. That's going to allow us to have new spectrum bands, a better ID, etc. So I don't need to like configure a bunch of devices and network protocols, etc. to allow you guys to have like internet that doesn't require you to get onto their protocols, etc. Right? So this is bringing that down, which is going to then allow for the new libraries and new languages to come down, which we already have. So here we go. Right? One, two, three, four, five. Intelligence bands. Start. And it's just a cybersecurity here that I'm encoding because people playing in space, trying to destabilize planets and destabilize universes, and the substance backdrops, et cetera, using different spirals that are from flowers that have turned from a psychedelic to like meth, a methamphetamine, or whatever, using certain animals that are using their state and their crystal state and their powers, etc., to create destabilizations because they took those flowers. Then the fact that they are eating meat or different things and practicing certain acts that are unsavory, and then they're making those type of forces of physics spaces and bringing themselves into places to then create form or mind form or substances or physics that will create stabilization. So we don't want to have any of that, right? Because that's basically like hacking. So we're going to stop that. Mhm. Right. So now you guys, and this right here, the spectrum band that I just encoded then was to just to make sure that like, oh, let's say for instance, like there's like a readjustment that needs to come like to the whole entire system because a lot is changing. This band will allow for the substance space or this number sequence or the serpent to be changed to a new database or the aquatic being to move to a new protocol based on the upgrades that are like going on and what's happening and what's not happening, you know, in the space planetary area, galaxy, universe, planet, Treasurverse, and its changes and its flows and its functions and the realities that get downloaded in those places, okay? And do it in a way that it's acceptable to the system and it aligns and flows with the system. So this is just like automatic like system upgrades when necessary. Okay, so okay, okay, okay. And then so there we have it. That's good. Now what I want to do, that's fine. We'll do that later. I want to go ahead and activate what I've already coded, right? So let me see. Hersakaya, Hersakaya, Hersakaya. Okay, so this is saved. And I wanted to impact the binary reality. All right. So now in order to then we brought down this spiral that's going to bring down a new substance. Now we're going to overpower each of the realities. Okay. So we're going to overpower the ASCII reality with a specific binary like encoding. Right. So let me go ahead and I can do that in this file where I can go and I'm typing, I wanted to save. So that's okay, good. So now that I've activated that, that's all I need to write. Let's go bring down each language and bring down a binary reality that's going to carry it. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and take on ASCII, and the rest of that whole binary scape. There's like a encoding for that binary scape. And the way that I'm going to do that is use a specific binary sequence that's going to allow me to latch on to that number sequence space, at the number sequence, the whole system, and then the substance space that runs that system that allows it to even speak with the spectrum bands, mantissa, electricity, etc., copper, etc. Yeah, yeah. Okay, put myself in these two systems. Okay, and this is the other system that we're going to use, which is that Eight of Wands. So, okay, the Eight of Wands in tarot. Okay, fast-paced change, action, and alignment, proper communications, always on 5G data without the radiation, right? So I'm gonna get the Eight of Wands, and then I'm gonna take its encoding. Uh, um, they can all speak. Okay, good. And then this one is like just for better memory organization for when it's like bringing down the binary scape, right? Okay, so this is a good thing. Byte order. So we want the byte order. We don't want any type of byte order because we want, when this comes down to the bioreality, we want it to be able to interact with the compiler in the system in a way that there's no byte order, like more like a UDP, right? Like more like if you want to use this more for like UDP streaming and encoding. I say that because like, oh, it's the amount of like data that it's taking as a package across a certain protocol and network, right? So the way that this will look like in the aquatic thing is like, oh, I'm going to use this substance versus that substance to send this message because this one is going to get here quicker. So we're going to have the Eight of Wands, right, for their ASCII protocols, etc. And then another binary scape that I'm going to go ahead and use. No, no. Hmm, is a specific encoding from a specific serpentine being that they run protocols for war, right? Like, oh, this is how we're going to communicate. This is how we're going to set up this planet. We set up soil networks, things like that, so certain psychedelics can grow, plants and foods and vegetables that we need can grow. We set up certain psychic networks so certain people can like travel here and make it here, etc. Like, and they get invitations. So that's what they do in space. They're great, you know. So I'm going to use this high priestess, and in order to do the rest, we're going to bring down her encoding here. So we've done the spiral. Now we've done the overriding of the system, right? So two things that we need to do is bring down a substance space that this whole system was going to pull from. We can just bring that down. We don't need to code it here because that spiral is doing that. But in the space, right? The physics space, the tensor space that holds the maximum quantization of a force that can come into this reality and into this planet, we're going to edit it over there. And that's what we can do with these systems. Like, okay, it's easier than like trying to look for particle accelerators and blasting things into the sky and then sending out satellites and this and that. You can just do it like this if you have access. Because the way in which people lost access is because they were starting slavery, causing drama, attaching frequencies to certain planets, backdrops, etc., to cause chaos, right? All right, so we're doing that. Okay, and then accepting the changes to the uh, copper, optical fiber, etc., that's carrying this binary space and going to work with the new Mentisa. I accept that. So when you're playing in those realms, like you get karma for all of it. Like they say yes or no. If somebody's putting some type of like frequency to make it just go. We're not getting enough. We're getting the bare minimum. If you want more from these metals and these systems and these organization of electrical languages and assembly languages, you have to use the system. So let's keep on going. Now we brought down the spiral, we brought down the eight of wands, we're bringing down this serpent code and function, and then we're going to bring down this high priest to this octopus. They made a clone of his body and brought him to this cold ocean, and he runs the internet now because of how they tried to use his brain as a portal to keep a specific type of substance going that was hiding what was being done to certain children for them to use their homework as a magic on planet Earth to create the internet. So now that's the big game. That's why they've been starting wars and this and that and causing drama. And now this is going to come to an end. So both of them are getting their frequency put on here. And this is like the IDE environment that we're going to start to use now, right? To code down new things and new systems, etc. You can have your own, a text pad editor. But I'm writing in here. I already have like this text pad editor. But one of the things that's happening here is I'm going to put this into the source code for the editor, and it's going to be as a new binary package. So I'm just showing you how I'm doing it because I'm editing the BIM software itself because it's on the chemical server. How can you do that? Because my input output stream and encoding is now freeform, right? Because I put this 801s on, and the substance that I'm using is like, oh, I can go which way or that way, any type of way. It's like your kids in space, like, I don't want to hear you telling me this and saying no. And I'm going to put this substance here. I can bypass all of that. Yeah. Right. So what are you doing with your little boyfriend? How did you find me using this substance? Oh my God. Right. So that's what's happening here. So we're going to put their encoding down. Yeah. Okay. Right. This is so funny because look at this. Yeah, I bought this like little thing. Let me show you for C. Okay. I got this like little thing for C. And like look at the barcode, right? So much is like going on. It's like so ridiculous. But you guys just like hold on for the ride. And let's keep on going, right? So now one of the other things that I can also do with the system is like, oh, I want to like bring down different like SQL, my SQL ProgSQL Skitter, where the C++ encoding in the Matissa organization and the data and memory flow is aligned with the database itself, right? So that looks like basically I can bring down databases where like, oh, I want to find out like who's been using this certain plant. Oh, it has like all these restaurants and like all these different numbers. Like, oh, okay, these are people's real. It's either you can use like their birthday, their social security number, whatever type of identifying factor you want to put in. You just put that in, and you can identify people that way. Like, oh, this restaurant's using it, that restaurant's using it, so that's who robbed us, right? Stuff like that. Like, oh, you're using this for black magic. Like, oh, wow. Okay, so I see. You can bring down systems like that from space. They have those up there. That's how they catch people. So another system that you can use down is like, oh, in your astrology, like uh, well, that one I'm not going to explain. It's a different type of aquatic system that people can go ahead and code down for like consciousness using different consciousness. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be keeping time with the planet. So, because I have my planet body over there, and there's like a constellation that I'm supposed to be like dismantling and reorganizing the stars for, so that we can get better like EMF transmissions and radiations and clean EMF. Right? EMF doesn't always have to be a bad thing. It's just the way that they're using certain devices to put them out, right? And then also the magic that they put to reactivate this planet, it's bringing a certain type of bad radiation that has bad decay factors, right? Like, why would it take that long for it to get decay, and why this substance, anyways, right? So we can have things like that where you can like upload your whole entire city block to electricity, etc., just by coding down a file and then attaching everyone's like identifying factor, to that program, and then they have brand new energy, electricity, etc. Like, okay, better. So we have this, and now we're gonna go ahead and say now we have the spiral. There's two things that I have to come like to do here too. It's like two systems that I have to like accept. One for like the way in which the substance is gonna flow to the planet, like what plants and beings are gonna carry it all the way down. And then two, it's like agreeing that we are gonna use this organization system because uh, the organization system was already created in space and done for. Okay, so okay, I accept that. Okay, good. So now we have the spiral down here. This is okay. We're gonna code down three binary stamps for the languages. No, uh, yeah, we're gonna code down the reorganization of all the coding languages. And this is that when you get on here and you want to code anything down here, you don't have to just use C plus, Python, etc. You can use our coding language or your coding language, right? From space. Like, okay, I downloaded this from space, but it still works on the computer. Look at the software that I'm building. Look at all this preset music. These are all my beats in space. What do you mean? And that's just you, right? That's just what you want to do. Like, oh, I have beats in space. Or, oh, I remember I was making beats in my mind and stuff like that, and I can access that and the memory crystal organization because we can code down a spiral that can speak to the valence structure and the separ of the crystal that runs your memory organization system, mind system. And you can get access to your music, your memories, things like that, organization systems, etc. Right. So we're gonna go down here now, and we're gonna start to plug in the new frequency that we need to bring all that type of stuff down. So we have this spiral, and then we have this right here. Now to open up each language, we have this right here. So now instead of you coding down like, when you want to start in C++ or start in Python, there's like tags that you have to use. You don't have to do that. You can now start freeform code. Yeah, you can start doing that. Right? You can start having organization and things like that. Now, this part is like we are weaved into the existing structure and syntax. Granted, if you want people to see certain colors, pages, things like that, you can use certain templates, right? Use certain templates and elements that are already existing, like, oh, I could put box, put this, put this, put this. The database is already organized, or I can say I want this table, this by that, like basic light coding. But for the heavier stuff, like, oh, now I can put in a few mantisas, etc., etc. I can put in a few mantisas, and then I can bring down stuff that's already organized, already in space. Okay, interesting. So now, like an example is, let's say, for instance, I want to bring down a storage of value that's going to run a crypto. Like, oh, it already had a certain amount of value because it's like a block of gold that just exists somewhere in a binary space and digitally, and it has like a physical manifestation. But what they can do is also anchor down aspects of that chemical bank and their existing jewelry, gold, etc., that they have and have it quantified on the internet. So now, let's say for instance, like I want to go ahead and bring down that database. I would go ahead and code down the container. It's going to carry this whole program. And then in the header container, I just put down the library and system that I'm going to activate, right? The header container, what system I'm activating that's going to override the HTTP port protocol and bring forth what I'm going to put in this container, right? So I have my container. It's going to carry the vector, uh, carries my vector, and it carries my Boolean loops, my statements, classes, and data types, right? So in the header container, I have to put something in BCD format. That's really it. And it's an Odinani vector. Okay, so you have that, your container. So now the vector is accepting the fact that it's going to be carrying a certain storage of value, a certain forces of physics that's going to then run in a specific program, aka your wallet, that's going to keep up the specific flow and frequency of these equations to your device that's carrying a certain amount of tokens, et cetera, that have a storage value. Okay, so now what's going to happen here is how do I then, after I create this container, we bring down the storage of value, like the bank, like you just can't say that that's the storage of value. Well, you can because I have a system here that I'm distributing all these things to. And then I'm going to also like use like a PayPal interface and say that this is going to translate to this amount of money. But where's the bank? The bank is being carried here by the Ordinary vector right here. So here, wait, but how do you bypass like Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and you have to register with this system and that system to do deposits? Not necessarily, really. Right? You can send money straight to your card, send it straight to your PayPal, send it to wherever. And remember, we have this system that they can't intercept in with all of these intelligences. So it's really nothing that they can do, right? So now let's say I wanted to do the flower power. I would do the same thing, right? But then I would bring down a specific type of mantisa that's going to carry down the botanical reality that allows me to run another spiral, right? So I have to have my encoding, my package, my TISA container with everything else in there. Um, for my Mantissa, let's say you don't have this already organized, which we already did through this. You would need to have your quaddle, a new memory, right? The new memory organization that carries a new Mantissa, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Carries new HOLO bits. Thank you. So now with the container, if you're Mantissa, you have your container. So what you're going to put into your container is, databases, database of perfume, right? You're going to code that down. Then what you're going to do is you're going to bring down your SQL. You could bring down HTML, how it should populate and all that, CSS, all that type of good stuff, right? That you get from drag and drop generators, etc. Okay. And then what you can go ahead and do is you can start to have fun with this organization. And then let's see, you have interface access, like what do they type in, et cetera, right? So you have the organization that signed up your databases and how people should see it, but then interface access, search bar. Okay, good. So now you're going to just go ahead and say, okay, these floating points are getting scanned. These databases already exist in space. So I'm bringing this down here. They already have the perfume and everything already uploaded. Granted, I can upload existing databases, right? Like, oh, I have the container database, and then I could put down, I want this to cross-reference. Mhm. And then from there, I can find out like, oh, these are all the flowers that exist on this database. Okay, but these are all the perfumes that have this certain flower in it, these different type of perfumes. Okay, so these smell the same. So if I can't find this, I can get that. So this is one of the organizations. Now the same thing with the data organization. Okay, so now what's going to end up happening here is there's going to be a complete takeover of any last substance. It's currently moving. The universal spiral and the galaxy spiral is like readjusting itself. The planets that we're anchoring to are making conjunctions and aspects with existing planets in this galaxy. A lot of us don't know that there's other planets and they have names, things like that, right? So you have other stars and other planets. I'm sorry, and other galaxies. How we can organize it. So let's say I want to start my own cybersecurity business, right? I can encode things like this into the spectrum band, and there's no such thing as hacking. Yeah. Or let's say, for instance, you just want to be really more manual. You can work with a specific botanical being. And they have specific type of encoding, like you can't intercept my petal. Your petals are not my petals. There's no way you can attack my structure and change my functions because that's like one of the big flower attack. Like, oh, I'll project my disk image towards yours, and when your petals are growing, you'll have my petals growing with yours, so I can try to play with your functions. It does not work like that at all. But these are some of the things that they do, right? So you can encode this, and it'll stop any like hacking or coding, or work with those flowers and bring down their type of encoding. So they'll like, say for instance, you want to create like new you have to have the package that and because of what a lot of the whites did, this is what they're looking for, because cybersecurity is done for. AI destabilized everything. They put everyone's computer on the grid and started too much shit and caused a bunch of nonsense and chaos. And now there's a bunch of stuff going on, and people don't want to say that the reason why this is like happening and why this is going on is because we destabilized the computer and played with C++, and we don't really know what we're doing in code, and we need a different system to align with like a better substance space that's going to bring different protocols onto the internet and have a better reorganization of the internet and more capacity overall. So all these different laws that they're passing and all these cybersecurity initiatives, et cetera, that's not nothing unless you have this specific system that's going to go ahead and work with the Heisenberg uncertainty principle that they activated that got all these white men killed and women in tech, and then also caused all these plane crashes and car accidents and these documents of serial killers, or you're gonna have to, right, like Heisenberg principle and the centrifugal force, right? Okay. Okay, valence electrons, yeah. So, okay, you can work in the valence structure because it's a type of database. So, even when you're working with this valence structure, remember leptons, quarks, gluons, particle physics, right? An electron, what comes before the electron? What makes up the electron? They are playing in that realm, but that's super basic. We can play like 28 levels beyond just in this like universal galaxy and on this planet. Okay, so okay, indigenous people they run this like, oh, I want my hair to grow longer because my husband is coming home from war, so let me go play with these like particles real quick. And this is how black women have big behinds because they were playing with this to host like different nervous systems and divination systems on those nervous systems. They said, oh, I could put it here. So really, when you have a big butt in space, it just means that you're a high priestess. Like, oh, okay, you've studied. I see you. Yeah. And they turned it into something completely different on planet Earth, baby. So now what's happening here is we are looking into this and we're playing in this level to then play with quantization. Like, oh, you need a tensor space for that. You can work with any element out in any place. We were basically just building tensor spaces using TensorFlow and Python, then using XYZ files that didn't really go, but then using destabilizations in the capacitor to bring in more of an influx into the cords, the optical cords, or the copper cable to bring in more of our encoding. Because at the same time that we're destabilizing, we're already on their device, putting more pulsations into the CPU swap space, etc., and bringing in extra encoding that will overpower their device, allow us to bring in a virtual machine, etc., etc. That's done for. So another thing that we can do, right, that I'm going to show you is logic bombing prevention for the grid destabilization, right? It's a package. Same thing that you would do container, right? Coding, container, the encoding. You would then bring in the BCD, Odinani, and then the flowers frequency, right? And then you bring down the algorithm that she could only activate because why? You would need something called prefactual number states. Like, oh, okay, right. So this is where it gets like very exciting for a bunch of people that went to go run around with my work and ended up like exposing themselves because where'd you get that from? Oh, that sounds interesting. Who's teaching that? Right, prefactual numbers. So you can have numbers. You can use any type of numbers, but the way we organize the number brings down a specific logarithm, a frequency. So that's how you would organize something like that, where people, it doesn't matter the error code, it doesn't matter what they're doing. They just won't be able to get into it because of the geometry that the numbers are bringing down in their organization state and how that is bringing down a certain tensor flow, right? That's going to allow us to have the type of cybersecurity encoding that we want without having to type in all the C++ this, allocating it to your heap memory, to your swap memory, accessing your pre-registers for them to carry certain type of encoding to block this and that, playing with the network protocol, putting packages on your network protocol at the server level or at the switch level or at the VPN level or at the LAN network configuration level to ensure that you were going to be able to have a type of encoding on that system that will block out, uh, you know, um, DDS attacks, 404 attacks, whatever type of attack that's on the network. 404 is just a manifestation of sometimes an attack, right? So you wouldn't need that. You would just do it like this prefactual numbers. Okay. Okay. Because what we're basically saying with this is that I'm bringing down through the whole organization. So what this prefactual numbers say, let's say for instance, this we have the our initial DHCP system. We would put that there. So even the IP is encoded. Boom. Next thing, we go to the NIC cards in the network tools and the network devices. Boom. Another layer of security. Okay. Then what we have here is we go into the last state, which is like our configuration, like on our network, like, oh, we run all these computers, or oh, I open a software in my computer if I'm a standalone computer. This will bring boom, 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 and it will bring down an overall geometry and flow that will bring down a major tensor space to secure your entire network. Ain't no hacking. So this is what they can't get their hands on because in order to activate this, you need a specific way in which to command numbers in electrical language. So the number said, this is how I can speak to you. You put me like this, you put me like this, you get this, right? This is from a flower. This is like an algorithm that they run like, oh, I'm the mother flower, that's my daughter, and then that's my granddaughter. Boom, boom, bam. There's no way you're going to play with me, play with her, my grandbaby, because I'm right here. So if you wanted to play with her, you had to come to me to begin with. And that's the war that's coming out in space. People running back and forth, playing with indigenous people like that to try to create destabilizations. They make copies of you, your kids, your mom, your grandma, etc. on planet Earth for chaos. Okay, to get you to eat from a bad soil network because certain people came down here, buried themselves down here. The fact that we have toilets, sewer, et cetera, is a problem, and it's bringing back forth bad EMF frequencies that allow like negativity to ground itself down here. This is how you can have signed and unsigned numbers, right? They're using the life force in those systems, bodies decaying, trauma from war, the sewer, to run a negative nather space, right? A negative chemical substance space that's giving little life to certain coding languages. Like, oh, okay. And then they're bringing in the cables, the optical cords to run the signed aspect. Like, oh, signed and unsigned numbers. You guys understand that, right? Right. To go ahead and run different type of memory organization that brings down different substance space that will run different things, right? So this is like what like they get like, oh, okay, we can use this substance space that we created from this and that, but this is like it doesn't really work. You have to use this and that still, right? So all right, right. So that's how you would create that. So now let's say, for instance, I wanted to create like this like sound technology, right? Where I can bring down like my memory and myself in space. Whoa, I can activate different like floating point frequencies inside my audio engineering technology in order to get like different beats out, different jams out, different tunes out, stuff like that. Like, oh, some of you guys own like certain music mixes, like this genre of music and this genre of music only certain people can do. And this is like the new frequency, like, oh, okay, thank you. I got a gift for handling stuff in my hood. So I get this genre and this genre. I didn't even know that those two things can go together. This is gonna be so lit, right? Look at these rhymes and raps. It's so crazy. People before you came and saw like, oh, I was here in the 1920s. I knew you. Yeah, you were a young man. You passed away. They had bad alcohol, but I gave you this gift. I love your music. Look at this. I can play with this planning now and bring this onto the computer and look what I can work with. So that's going to be like the new internet. Everyone getting to explore. And the creativity that's going to culminate out of this, I just can't wait for it. That's the only reason why, real talk, I just, let's just keep on going, right? That's why I've just been staying calm because I'm like, okay, whoa, but you see people passing away, right? Okay, so keep on playing. So now what's happening here is uh, uh, neural networks can get put on the computer. Like, oh, you can speak different languages. We can divinate with people. Like, okay, we have different things that we're going to be doing and working with and getting into to bring down this new internet and have these new systems and understand this new way of being completely. It's because we can work in this. Now, let's say we want a chemical editing system, which is what I'm bringing. That's like super simple. It's just like you type in the chemical, right? And then in space, the chemical server gets like changed. Like for chemistry, it's not really much. It's the fact that you can like do it in a fun interface, like drag and drop, but then it gets like done in space, right? Manually by people, and that's like a type of generative AI that you can have from space. That's pretty cool. And like seed editing, where you can take different seeds and like make new plants. That's how you do it. But you have to get the plant like open to you. Like, oh, I'm putting this together and this together. I'll be able to get a certain plant with this intelligence. It won't like show. You can find the photo of the plant and stuff like that from space. But really, like the high priestess is going to be the one to have that. Not everyone's going to have that because not everyone can activate those seeds and like some see these plants are not going to grow for you because what you did on the planet. Right? So think of like a solid person. If you put this seed together of cannabis and then this together right here, you can get this type of like really like dope, like psychedelic. This is how we do it in space. It's not on the planet anymore. She left because of slavery. She saw what you guys did, and these plants they died. Like how dare you? That's what happens, right? So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to find like a new way to bring down these systems and bring down this organization and bring down this new way of being, period. Okay, so generative. So some of you guys are looking into like protein modeling, things like that. That's something that I can build. It would be again, um, software interface, and then you're gonna have your that would be like your container. Like let's say you want to build a program from scratch, protein modeling. So you have your container, And this is like really big because of how a lot of people didn't know what they were doing in machine language and stuff like that. They were hacking other people's computer, causing drama using AI generators. And a lot of the AI generators are bugged and it's everyone else's work. And they didn't really understand the programs. Like, oh, look at these different type of loops. They're basically trying to build like a type of like a system where there's a network administrator and they're moving around this type of data, etc. Like things like that. So you have your container, right? But before you have that, you of course have you're opening your container in IDE, right? Then you have your language to activate the overpass. Then you have your BCD. Then you have your vector. Then you have like your type or program, right? So even with the program, the way in which the algorithm, and that's where you would put like vector and then algorithm, right? Now, if I have this language like I put here, that's going to open up a new way of for me to have languages and vectors and stuff like that. Now, with the BCD format, what's going to happen here is a specific type of like memory file organization is coming down that's going to bring down a specific frequency of a flower. Okay, so okay, yeah, pedal protection, yes. Disk images, yes. Okay, memory organization, the way in which you manage certain things. And now you see what they did in our community by breaking up the black woman and the black man and the flower and etc. and causing drama with her pedals and nonsense, and then bringing people down here for slavery, and it's manifesting in cultural wars. They thought that they were going to do that again with the rest of us that are solid, right? Happening. And again, look at this 37. So what we're going to do here with the language BCD vector is we have that container language BCD. Okay. Um, the vector that's going to carry the C plus encoding. It's going to do this and this and that. And then what's going to end up happening here is the flower herself is going to give you how the algorithm, right? Now, some of you guys are like, okay, but people can try to steal that. But then again, remember, her encoding is here. So they can take this code and try to plug it in and activate it. But if she's not there, because she's not going to activate, nothing that they put in will work. The factual numbers won't work. There's a way in which the protein will then tell you, like, oh, identify me here, 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 and here, which is why this system's more generative than it is automated, because a lot of these chemicals and these proteins are locked, right? So here, then is the divination space that comes in. Check number 30. It'll pop out like numbers. Fold 3, arginine number 4, Tata box. And basically the Tata box is like when you're doing like DNA sequencing, and like the Tata box tells you where like there's like a type of termination. Okay, so it will tell me where to look, and then from there I can go ahead and say, okay, let me go into the generator because it's generative, and then let me put copy this fold, copy this string, and let's put it all together over here, and let's see how it folds. That's how it's gonna work. Like, okay, 'cause people just can't get into like certain things, and like people shouldn't be knowing certain things, but biochemistry is gonna be done for anyways because the chemicals are locked, right? So now what that looks like with the chemical system is really not much. Like, oh, but it's for like the CPU and memory. Basically, what you're gonna do is you're going to get a MASAM file, like a x64 or 86 file that has a type of like dot data and dot code uh, um, a file that's going to open up and then allocate to a certain type of like your memory. And you guys don't know that you can attach to like the pre-registers. You get attached to pre-registers and registers in order to unfold and unleash. It unleashes a binary program, right? Unleashes binary program that opens up a new memory file organization. So this is how new mantisas and everything are possible. So now with this chemical system, though, like, okay, you can have it like automated, like, oh, it comes with a database of all the chemicals, how far I can get the valence, the type of compounds that I can make, et cetera, et cetera. And then I just put in here, I want this to do this. And then all this does is just sends like an electrical impulse message into the database of the chemical, right? So it sends frequencies into tensor spiral that runs entire compound and or element. and what it could be on the planet, right? So let's say, for instance, this is your CPU, your computer. It opens up this new memory file organization, attaches to like a new chemical server system, and the valence of the metal and the valence of the optics, the optical like particles. And then you have like a new memory organization that will open up in the software too, right? Like, oh, it will show that I have more data and more memory. The numbers will even populate, like all of that. Like everyone will be able to see that. Okay, dope. So with that, now this is how we're going to move forward into this is what they were looking for, and this is why stuff is blowing up in the black and brown community with memory and the computer and data organization, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're playing with the CPU memory. That's how you can like play with this. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this. Right? It's just like starting. It's okay that this is already down here in the Vim network, and then whatever we choose to build, right, from the source code or any other source code, to make your own IDE, we'll be able to have an IDE that can execute and build anything, right? So this is how you would then build this in our IDE. Okay, so you use x64, x86, not the whole thing, but small parts of like the concepts of it, different concepts in it, right? Instead of having to put move, move, jump, 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 carry the memory here and here and here and here throughout the system, it's where you get leaks, package loss, etc. That doesn't exist in our system. So right, and new memory organization, new speed, right? And then in that memory file, and these new memory files that I can bring in the .data.code, then inside the .data.code, it has the Odinani scapes, right? You guys just saw me using these cards. Yeah. Okay. Serpent scapes, which really just bring down number sequences that activate a different database of the metals and the chemicals and the electricity and the magnetism. They can work in different databases. It's just quantization. It's just indigenous quantization, right? Okay. So this is how we can move forward now and start to like play. Like, okay, that's how we would start to do it. We can start this now, right? So, oh, keep seeing that spiral. You guys see that spiral, and then I don't see it again. You guys see that spiral and it leaves? Okay, there we go. Um, that's the error message too. The AAA, the at. Because last time we did this, I just want to show you guys this video. At equals Durkoquasi. So when I see this, that's like Durkoquasi. It means a certain no. I wouldn't necessarily look into the ASCII numbers. I would not look into the binary scape because these three symbols, it's like error editing, right? Like security management, error editing, that type of thing. Conflict like management in your network. Certain things, certain symbol combinations mean certain things. Like think about 404, right? Oh, 404, the website is not up. There's something going on with the DNS where the IP of the website was disconnected from the DNS, like the name of the website, right? Because maybe there's something going on with the IP, or it was the spectrum band that's connected to the IP is being tampered with in the master database to play with somebody's website, which is what they did in all of Ethiopia to block people from having their own internet. So then this at equals Duquoise and saying that the upgrade is happening. Okay, I have another video for you guys, right? Okay, 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 more error messages. Okay, thank you. I'm glad to see that it's like working and coming down. Okay. So Mercury Wars. Let's go here real quick. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So let me go ahead and just show you because you're not going to be able to hear it. But Mercury Wars. Okay. So I was typing something up. You guys can go watch this for yourself. I was typing something up, and then the computer started resetting itself. But it populated an error code. The computer shut down, reset completely, turned back on, and then it populated an error code. Okay, here we go. Computer turning back on. Mhm. Right. So, and here, but you can see the whole original file, right? You can see the original file. I didn't put those error codes in. I saved my data. It reset something on my Kickstarter organization. And then what happened was I got a code inside the file itself in the middle at a place where a specific encoding was, right in the middle. And it was, yeah, it encapsulated the coding and then it gave a message. And that was saying that the upgrade has been successfully completed, right? So then you guys, we have a bunch of outages on the internet, major outages. You guys can check my channel. I have a playlist called coding tutorials, but I'm just going to go ahead and do an overview of all the outages that we created and then the coding tutorials that I did like at at those days, the day before or day after. Usually the day before, a couple days before, I did coding tutorials, and then those outages had happened. So let's go really quickly here to show you guys this. Yeah, Richmond battery starter abruptly furloughs because I was talking about this Heisenberg principle and what we can do, and a bunch of companies and startups shutting down. Intel, Genentech, all the biotech companies shutting down, firing people because of what came out, and they don't have a system. The largest streaming service has been shut down. Let's see, yeah, around this day, I'm gonna pull this up. Microsoft major outage, yeah, global impact. I think it was around here. Yeah, so now I'm gonna go ahead and show you my page, and it's been us that's been doing that because of what's currently happening. So if you're here to play games, you're not here to learn. There's no reason for you to be here at all. Only to find out how you're gonna end up ending with these people. So let me go look at that playlist that I have, so you guys can go see this for yourself. Okay, okay. Mm. Okay, there's a playlist that's called Coding Tutorial. Oh, here we go. So with the cooking tutorial, so coding tutorials, you guys can go on there and see about all these different coding tutorials that I've been doing. But let me just show you from the dates, okay? Coding tutorials. So there's let me see on my channel, Microsoft major outage. Okay, it's like 64 emergency coding tutorials. Oh, you guys can go see it. And I always show in these videos like the before and after and what happened. Coding tutorials. Here we go. Okay, so this has been going on for how long? Yeah, and that's why the internet is getting shut down. And a lot of mostly all white people in tech know about this. They've just been hiding because they play in those like disgusting chat groups, and it's gonna come out what they were doing to you guys and your families behind your back in those chat groups that they're trying to hide. That's like what they're actively trying to hide. The biggest thing that white folks are trying to hide is how debilitated they are and how they showed their mind on the internet by playing in those chat groups. Which I'm telling you right now, when you guys see what they were doing, there's going to be a mass exodus of them from the tech space now, and they don't have any code. So it's our systems that are going to come down to people that are going to want to build these systems and have these different things going on, right? And even for like the seeds, it's like different people own different ones. So like, oh, my family's from India, we can make this new crop. I own this platform for people to go sign up and like upload their seeds and stuff like that. Okay, so coding tutorial. So let's go. Right. So major raids and whole chaos. Yeah, major raids. This is the one, and it came with largest streaming service set to shut down. And I was talking about that because of how they were using something called partitioning, playing with Kafka, playing with Kubernetes, etc. Now, another one that came out here in this is the Microsoft Extreme outage. Let's see. Yeah, major Microsoft outage. Around that time that that was going on, I had done a coding tutorial. There's some that are not on this list. Let me just go back to my page. Okay. So now you guys can see like what's been going on the whole entire time, and I just wanted to come down here and code that approve. Uh, mhm. Okay. Okay. So now you guys know like we can have like a new internet, we can have like new storages of value, and we can have like a bunch of brand new things. So my job is to make sure that everyone like knows about this because of how people's kids went missing, people got targeted, et cetera, with all of this, right? So let me just go on my page, right? You guys can see this around the time that that Microsoft outage happened. Mhm. That song is I Want You, Baby. I'm levitating. Yeah. I've talked about particle physics because as something's also going to come out with, okay, a lot of people are dying because they're playing with magic and playing with particle physics and chemicals. Okay, well, there we go. And then also, too, like when we're coding down, like how do you use UTF like that? What? There's also videos where I show you like we code and then the next day something comes down and something happens. I have several incidences of this happening on my page. So here we go. July. Okay, here we go. Yeah, chemistry tutorial. It's a chemistry tutorial because how we broke the CPU and edited the spiral valence to block certain binary spectrums that are carrying like bad headers and stuff like that on the internet. But also too, we put a binary escape on the internet that like is blocking child pornography completely, so they get caught. So I have files that I've made here. Oh, so you've been the one doing that? Yeah. So I've been making files here in front of everybody, right? So we open up the files, new system, total zero. I'm on your head or your header, and I'm coding things onto the internet. So I coded down the Ten of Swords. Oh, so everyone can do this? No, you have to activate it with a specific electrical language, and then you can play with this binary escape, which indigenous people also run. No, tarot doesn't belong to anybody but indigenous people. It's like an old system that they played with the archetypes. Like this is how we can understand this reality and just have it categorized and cataloged. And then they turned it into a tarot card game because remember there was tarot in ancient Egypt. That's what it came from. It came from black people who were playing with magic. So Ten of Swords done for. No network connection. completely over. NIC card, blown 3 chips, 10 of swords. Okay, 7 of swords. Yeah, 7 of swords. Here we go. Lies, deception, trickery, manipulation. Okay, look at this. 7 of swords reversed. Confessing. Pathological liar. Getting caught. Yeah. So this is how we set up all these people on the internet, and they have no way to stop it. 5 of wands. The police on their hand, on their head. Asia getting caught up with drama. 5 of wands. Chaos and mess. Yeah, getting caught up. Challenges, obstacles. Yeah, challenges and obstacles. But it's really this 7 of wands that I quoted on the internet, and I can make an IDE, right? Where like, um, well, we don't even need to do that, but in our IDE, right? Let's say, for instance, like firewall. This is like the 7 of wands. Challenge, competition, perseverance, getting blocked completely. Protective, defensive. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Strong will. Yeah, territorial, forceful. 7 of wands, blocked completely. So what we did is we can code this down, and then that's how we blocked everyone from being able to get an IP. DHCP is like broken. We can have our own DHCP system as well too, and a different syntax. Why? Because there's spectrum bands that already have the syntax set up. Like, oh, this is how you just connect in space. So let's say, for instance, I want to code down the spectrum band, right? A new spectrum band system. We opened up this space that's gonna allow the spectrum band to be able to like work on the internet and carry the radio frequency to have internet. It can do that, yes. So we started, it's here. Let me open this up now. Now I've done that. I open up this container that has an interface. I just post all the code there. So in the IDE and in the beginning of like, so the container that has an interface. So we bring this all down and then the container. So first thing that we're gonna do with the this is the MASAM 64 memory reorganization, so that each part of your pre-registers, your CPU, etc., allows a memory system that carries internet with it. Okay, dope. And it's above 6 MBs. It'll be like eight Mbps, right? So then, how do you get that higher to higher speeds? Then we're gonna create a specific type of like container. This container that has an interface is gonna carry a specific frequency band. Okay, that container, right? That has an interface that's gonna just carry a frequency band in its header. Carries the protocol. And then how would I draft out the protocol? So you guys already have protocols? Yeah, because let's say, for instance, I just want this free internet for my daughter so she can go on YouTube and go on this and this and that. There's already a spectrum band for that. And it's already organized to only allow them to go on certain sites or access certain type of like information on the internet based on their age, etc. Okay, so let's say, for instance, I want to configure this network for my whole entire company. I'm the master administrator. I have all these different like encoding, and then there's certain spectrum band that I can like subnet. Right? I could subnet my spectrum band to give it to all my employees, but then I could put a certain encoding that they can't go onto these different websites, or on every website that they go onto, it has this amount of admin access, right? Or something like that. You can do that, right? So now the way that I can bring down this new internet is like, okay, and that's like for network administrators that work in the company. Like I'm going to be an ISP provider. This is what I'm going to go ahead and do. This is how we're going to go ahead and run it. Um, I bring down this spectrum band. Daisy's that taught me how to like do this. I'm gonna attach different like accounts to this. Those accounts are gonna be my administrators, but they can only give these people this internet. Like for my brother or my sister, they're gonna get like very fast, very good internet. But for the people that are gonna be paying, this is what they can access, because on this internet spectrum that I have, I can also post into the another container, right? So instead of having end line, I continue the container, right? Which is maybe just like another container that's adjunct to the first container that has the memory frequency band. In this container, I can have a HTTP or HTTPS uh, protocol attached here. So then I can have the protocol attached in the header with encoding. And then what I'll be able to do is have a search bar interface. Or I have a SQL organization, right? And then that protocol, it will organize all IP, the MAC address, and then the history, right? Right, and all other info. And then with the MAC address, you click MAC address, you can have an organization of the whole text file organization. So a Linux organization now. Okay, so then you can have access to everyone's computer on the whole entire internet. Yes, that's what we can do. So now, okay, now what's going to end up happening here is there's going to be like a strong organization, right, of your memory, and I can bring down my internet. Okay, so this spectrum band that I am can do this, but they have to copy the whole entire internet, get into this website, that website, that website, go past this protocol, this website, this SSL certificate, that SSL certificate. They have to go past this VPN and this LAN configuration and this SYN and this ACK and this protocol and that protocol and every layer of the OSI to get into their computer. Just take the protocol. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is, in order to break this all down, you would need to have, well, you have the memory organization, etc. Right? So this is how you could build new internet, and then you have access to this, and then from there you can add another container, and then this is interface, right? So that people can go in. There's access controls and database population, and I know SQL, so it'll be something like this, like select table one, and then table run, and then um, from, you could put table row one or column one, etc. Right? From what table one, and that table one could be HTTP France, or their entire like network, or it can be from table one, all of the social media sites, right? Okay, and because it's like consistent, the different websites that are on the internet, et cetera, et cetera. When you make your initial interface, you just put the SQL, how the data should come in, how you want to organize that data. Right? Because on the HTTP network, there are already tags and identifiers. So it's how you organize this container. Okay, good. And this is what's going to happen if they don't stop playing with people's kids, playing with us, starting shit, hacking people's computer, causing drama and nonsense. Good. And they already know this. So, okay, so this is coming onto the internet. This is coming onto the internet. So this is why you don't need to like have like access to HTTP, or the bank is not going to allow it. Or what about their Cash App? Because how did you even know that I deposited anything? We're using a whole different spectrum band. We're just like routing it to my specific like identifier, like my Cash App name, et cetera, because the platform that we're building can access and speak to the syntax of any like financial app, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, I can send it straight to my card. I can see my balance, right? But you can't. Right? So let's go ahead and like get this together. So we've typed up like all of our notes and stuff like that, and you guys have seen this other Mercury warfare. I want you to go onto that. Okay, good. right? But let's look into what this is. Hmm. They don't have it. Yeah, there's something too about like Bash scripting, Bash shells. Mhm. So basically, like what we just did is we turned this Vim text editor into a type of like Bash like editor, right? So you can create containers, put commands into the shell, the containers, etc. And then you can start to build your programs, build like little programs, build file organization systems, host memory, data, etc. Okay, to have different type of databases on the internet that you can bring down, right? Through the logarithm, through the substance that we're going to be using, and through the fact that we just changed the binary spectrum. So you have like the binary UTF, right? Right. So now what's happening here is like, okay, new protocols, right? So now the internet protocols, that would be a part of this. We bring down the specific spectrum band. We already opened up our system. We already did all this. You guys see the new HTTP system. Oh, you have access to the whole entire internet. Okay. So now uh, what's going to end up happening here is boom, we had to bring this down. We put that into the IDE environment. We coded that down. That's done. Right? There is no error code for that. That's why I was just showing you guys this from space. That's why you keep on seeing that. It's like it's giving us updates. Like it's still uploading. It's still loading. It's still loading. The substance. It may take like a day for this to like come down where we can fully start to encode like this. And I already have all the syntax folders already like organized for you guys. But again, if you get put into the Akasha or you're accepted into the system, you can just start freeforming your code, right? So we have completely like done this. Okay, file. Right. Okay. So now you guys saw how I used this binary reality. Okay, but you need something to activate it. Now with the Odinani system, um, I basically bring down a specific type of like no, I bring down certain type of like realities, code worlds. I bring down a vector, which is like basically like a geometric symbol that activates a tensor space or activates part of a tensor space, and it's like a level of quantization, right? This is the green octopus that's like handling a lot of this. This high priest, he owns a lot of this like system. No. So now what's happening here is okay, you guys mean that you're gonna go ahead and you're bringing down different Odinani vectors, right? Different symbol systems that mean different things. And basically, what you're doing is like you're taking like packages of a substance and intelligences, EMF, etc., physics from planets, and then you're using them as like mini servers to run certain things on the internet. That's how this is going to become possible. So this is how you would do that. And then like this, you wouldn't necessarily put in its binary scape, but this is already speaking and overpowering the binary reality. Now, let's say, for instance, I wanted to put it into its like binary state so that it can like speak in the binary reality and project that image, which would not necessarily like it would just carry like the specific physics that would add more to the spectrum band. This is being ran in a different space. When I bring it down onto into a text editor or onto my desktop without internet or onto the internet, what it's doing is it just unfolds a package that allows a specific force of physics to run in your blocks of code. Okay, so that's how you would use this. Like, oh, okay, that's what this is now. Now we see how this is going to be moving. Okay, so you guys have like a full breadth of what we're going to be building, what we're going to be doing, right? So another system where you're going over the internet, creating your own spectrum bands. Yeah. Let me see if I want to put one more down here. One that we can start now, like storage of value, sending money to like anybody's card, sending um it to like my crypto wallet address. Like, oh, I could even do that. Yeah. It's overpowering the network, right? So in our IDE, when we build a program that's going to be able to do this, you guys will then be able to have like a nice interface where you can go do this certain things like, oh, I have to go on this software that they built. And then from there, I have access to the total internet. We can search files, search this, look at people's email, do all this type of stuff. Because this nonsense that they created our community. So now they gave us this from space to like handle all this. Okay. Yeah, it's done. It's done. We have only us have access and you have to like get into this Akasha. Okay, good. There's no manipulating the substance. There's no doing any of that. That's done for. You can't even like. It's like somebody that has. It's unfortunate, but it's like if you don't have the key to get to the door, but you don't even know where the door is, right? That type of thing. Okay. So you guys, I'm happy that I got to come here down here and do this for you guys and show you what we're going to be building. Please go on and like take this for yourself. We're going to start putting out these platforms, but again, stuff has to move in the media in regards to what they did and what they did, what people have to find out. Okay, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy. Bye.